I had to first realize what I was doing that was giving you a negative about me, that I didn't love
Perception, yeah.
you or had no care about you. That for me was hard. I'm like, oh, how could that even happen? But I had to look at myself. Well, how have I been responding? How have I been available? How have I nurtured this relationship? Especially we're family, and to me, a family is should be a close relationship. I know it's not for everybody, and I'm still working on some of those areas of my family that have kind of slipped away. But I desire to have that closeness again. So that was the first thing, and that was me, because I get to control how I respond to my family members, the people that God has put around my life, my friends, my neighbors, whatever. So that's just about me. I can't expect everyone else to change so that
Right.
I can like them or interact with them or whatever. So that was the first thing, was figuring out how I was putting off a vibe that was not approachable. And that was hard for me to really. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
It's that time again. It's time for Splintered Grace Thursday morning. We are so excited to have you guys join us. My name is Tina Frank, and I'm a conservative Christian woman who follows the teachings of Jesus Christ. And I have an amazing co host.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bonnie Violet. I'm a trans femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, and yeah, that's me. I'm glad to be here this morning.
I always am amazed at how that just rolls off your tongue. I have a hard enough time with my little,
Yeah,
yeah.
I say it so many times. It's like between the different podcasts that I'm on or whatever, it's just like it's almost like just saying my name anymore.
Oh, wow. Wow. So
Yeah.
is it really episode 7?
Yeah, episode 7. I know. Can you believe it?
Wow, I can't. Time flies. I just
Yeah.
know. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but it seems like time goes faster and faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, well, and I think just because we took a break, we took kind of a long break too, I think.
That's
So
true.
it kind of feels like, oh, we're just getting started, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, episode 7.
So cool. Just a real quick nana nana. It's 70 degrees here. Nana
Oh,
nana nana.
I know you were saying that you got kind of a sunburn or something.
I did. It was amazing outside
Uh-huh.
in my garden.
We just had our 11th day in a row of snow, and it's some sort of record, and it's gonna continue. It's supposed to keep snowing, so
Oh, wow. You're
it's
gonna
not
have to
like a
take some skiing just so you can get around town.
right. It's not really that much snow. It is snowing every day, but like it melts every day too.
Ah,
So so it's not like there's, a ton of snow. At least where I'm at here in Boise. There might be other parts of like the state or whatever where there's a lot more snow, but
ah.
not here.
Well, good. Enjoy the cool because I know it'll get warm there quick, and that comes with mosquitoes, if I remember correctly.
Oh, very much. Yeah. And you were saying that you had fruit coming up in your garden and stuff, yeah?
I do. I'm so happy. So yeah, all the little seeds that I've been planting are starting. I can see their little leaves coming through. My little trees that I put in this year for fruit bearing trees are starting to get all their little leaves and little flowers on them. So yeah, it's pretty cool,
Hmm.
and it smells so wonderful. Anyway, we
Awesome.
only have a really short window of spring, so I have to enjoy my 3 days before it
Hmm.
gets summer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's a nice little segue. Did you like how I did that into
Yeah.
our into our topic this morning? This morning we titled it "Fruits of Life," and part of our thinking around that when we talked earlier this week, there's some very biblical terms around like the fruits of the spirit and fruits of the flesh, and we also hear like fruit of our labor. And then I think also, yeah, maybe we are going into like spring and like all this sort of stuff. But um, I think sometimes in kind of reflecting a little bit on this topic and at my church service, I sometimes go to a church service in Milwaukee. um, I kind of have a little closet my little closet Christian services sometimes, so to speak. And they were talking about fruit as well. And my understanding and some of the when we're talking about, and I think part of it is also like, are we really accomplishing what it is that we're trying to accomplish in life? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
what is it that what are the product? What is the results of how I'm living my life? Am I living my life in a way that is causing an effect that people are experiencing me in a way that I want them to experience me, that I want to experience myself, that sort of thing. So, one of the talks with the fruits of the spirit was kind of around, false prophet might sound like
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
very like big term, but I think it feels very relevant to my experience because I feel like I get a lot of religious people saying that the way I live my life is wrong and going to go to hell, and they really believe that. And there's ways that you can interpret and read the Bible and different things that would where you could come to that conclusion. Um, but there's also other ways that you can look at it, and I feel like oftentimes people will say, well, I love you, I care about you, and then I might experience it as hate or whatever, and I don't like labeling it hate anymore because I feel like it's
Yeah.
so extreme, but it doesn't land right on me, and it doesn't really consider me. I don't know, I just feel like it's not coming across in a way they're wanting it to come across. And
Right.
so I think a lot of I think that's a lot of kind of what um like laws, like even if we think about the laws within the Bible, I feel like those are kind of like the guideposts. They're kind of like it tells like the law is good and the law it works, but if the law doesn't get you to the fruits that you're like the fruits of the spirit, which is like part of the goal, right? Do you want to take this
Yeah.
over?
I try to let the fruits of the spirit be abundant in my life, for sure.
Right. So, but if we're and the fruits of the spirit is like joy, um, what is it? Joy.
Peace. Want me to read it?
You have it, right? I mean, I've read
I
it a number of
do.
times, but it's like,
But the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control.
mm, yeah. So those are the fruits. Like those are the results that we're trying to get. And I think the laws or the Bible is a tool to help us bear those fruits, right? Or to get those results. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
the Bible is a guide. Is a guide. I don't consider the Bible the law, but yeah, it is. It is
Or
the.
okay.
It's the foundation. Actually, I should. That's yes. Jesus, the Word, yes, is the foundation and gives us the tools that we need to aspire to this kind of fruit. Yes.
Uh-huh. And would you say if we're not getting those results, then somehow, somewhere we're missing something maybe, or
Yeah.
we're not getting the message, maybe we're interpreting something not quite right, or I don't know, like something's not jiving, right?
Well, yeah, I think we have to first remember that none of us are going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. But if we're not striving for these things and we say that we're a Christian, then I think that there's some things that we need to consider and take before the Lord and allow ourselves to, I call it to check myself
Hmm.
and make sure that I'm doing the things that I desire to do because this is the fruit that I want to give.
Yeah, yeah. And you talk a lot about relation. You talk more about not being like religious, or but actually being relational when it comes to God. And I have also heard that term of like, would you rather be right or would you rather be in right relation? And I
Yeah,
think right relation is probably where you're going to get to the results of joy, peace, kindness, all those things that you
yeah.
listed as the fruits of the spirit. No?
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I aspire to. And you're right. I don't consider myself religious. I consider myself relational. I have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and I look at my passages of scripture. I spend time in prayer so that I can strive towards these fruits of the spirit.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't necessarily get as like yeah, like I want those, I mean, those results, those fruits of the spirit, like I want, I mean, that I want to be that kind of person. And I feel like always, that's always been kind of my goal. And I think that most people probably have that same sort of desire or in their heart or whatever.
Mhm.
But I know that I really struggled with getting those results. I still struggle. I'm better at it,
Right.
and I've become better at it. For me, spirituality is a way, and having a spiritual way of life is what helps me get to those results. I'm sure there are plenty of other experiences maybe that people have that can get those results, but for me, until I started trying to reach out to a higher power or God or have some sort of connection with the spirit within me and all that sort of stuff, I I really struggled with getting the results that I wanted to get in life. How do you how do we assess our fruits? Like what is that process?
Hmm. For me, I know where if I'm on track is if I get squeezed and these things come out. By squeeze, I mean put into situations of adversity, things that make me uncomfortable, things that may be confrontational, those kinds of things, or things directed at me for some way. You
Mm,
know, peace I think is the one that I struggled with the most because life's not perfect.
yeah.
And, you know, it was easy for us to lose our peace in the circumstances of chaos or circumstances of hardship, some of those things that we're going through. And when you're living in the fruit of the Spirit, those circumstances don't throw you off course. They help you to tap in a little bit more to your peace. So when I call it squeezed. When I get squeezed, like I would squeeze
Hmm.
a fruit at the supermarket to tell if it's ripe or whatever, that's the kind of thing. Whatever comes out
Hmm.
is the truth of who I am inside. I'm either the fruit of the flesh or I am the fruit of the spirit.
Hmm. And how do you like so that sounds I love the visual of the squeeze, but especially with our topic, but um so so part of that reflection is like it's internal. It's like how I perceive or how I am feeling about what's going on in life. Do I feel joy? Am I at peace with
Well,
whatever, right?
it's actually it's my response. So,
Okay.
you know, if someone was to come at me with a bunch of ugliness, how do I respond? Do I
Mm,
respond with ugliness? Because if I do, then that's not the fruit of the spirit. Do I respond with understanding, maybe even empathy if needed? Maybe they've had a rough day. Maybe they're coming out of something, you know, who knows? So that to me is a response factor. How do I respond?
mm-hmm,
Internally on my own, you know, if I got diagnosed with something horrible, if someone I love got diagnosed with something horrible, um, you know, maybe that would be something that I'd really need to evaluate. Okay, Lord, I just want to be in peace about this. I want to be close to you. I want you to guide me. I'm not going to fret. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to allow you to take the lead. So those would be the opportunities internally that I would be finding and seeking out my peace.
mm-hmm. So
So
what
I
I'm
feel like
hearing,
some of these
go,
fruits of the spirit are internal and some of these fruits of the spirits are external, but they all take a squeezing to find out where you're at and to evaluate.
got you. And then how much is other people how like because it sounds like there's the element of like okay you come at me and it's not peaceful or joyous or whatever, right?
Right. Right.
and and so like I'm like okay but I'm cute, all right, and like so I can be okay with like I can still be at peace even though this person was whatever. At what point does people coming at you in that way, because I feel like at some point, even if you can kind of be like, oh, I'm cute, I'm cute, I'm cute, I'm cute, like at some point, if you have like people coming at you all the time in some sort of way, is that like something to be, is that something to look at then, um, beyond like your own piece, if you will? Like, does that play a role? My thought is like if you're having a lot of people come at you, um, in a less peaceful way, then maybe it's something that you're doing or something that I'm not you, but something that I'm doing that
Yeah.
is causing that reaction. And so at what point do I say, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be at peace at this," or maybe not, or like maybe there's something else going on here that I'm not aware of.
Hey y'all, it's me again, Bonnie Violet. I just wanted to take a second and thank my Patreon members. Patreon members are folks who contribute on a monthly basis anywhere from $3 to $150 a month to support the work of a queer chaplain. Big shout out to Victoria Thompson, Jason Brandt, Brandon Stanton, Kim Silva, Brandy McCarg, Randy Sandknopp, Bob Kaiser, Joey Heckmeister, Violet Rhiannon, Gabriel, Jonathan, Petrick, and Todd Atkins Whitley. Thank you so much for your continued contributions. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon, just check the link in the description. Go to patreon.com/Bonnie Violet. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
I always think that there's something that I've done potentially to draw that attention, and I always try to reach out with compassion. I sometimes have to. One of the things I've decided, and it is a decision that I've made, because it doesn't always happen emotionally, but I've decided. So that's what I act on as my decision. Is I've decided in my life to not be offended by people of any kind. So when something happens and I'm offended, or initially I'm like, what just happened? I always try to respond with compassion because, I feel like people reach out because there's probably something they're experiencing, something they have experienced, something what, or maybe there's even something in me that they maybe even desire for themselves, but it's annoying to them. And because I have it, they're just going to lash out at it because it's a defense mechanism to not, because I don't know, people compare one another. We shouldn't do that to ourselves, but we do that. We're our worst enemies in that regard. And so when someone lashes out at me, unless I've instigated, but if someone just comes up and lashes out at me for something, I always listen and I always try to look them right in the face because um, I want them to know that I'm listening and I'm hearing what they're saying. And then if I give them the opportunity, I try to respond with some sort of compassion and encouragement because I think people, when they get to that point, need to be heard. And I want to hear them. And then I'll evaluate when I get back out of that situation. Okay, is this something I need to be considering? Is there really something that I need to work on here that they've been able to see that I can't see? But that's not the moment to evaluate that. Now, if I say that, but if it's someone that I am in relationship on a regular
Right.
basis, comes to me and says, look, I'm really seeing that might be a challenge for you and this might be keeping you from fulfilling, then I'm going to listen and I'm going to take notes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're talking about two different things, but that initial, especially in the culture that we live in, we get a lot of initial confrontation from people that's a lot of times unwarranted, a lot of times just is random, not people that
Yeah.
we know very well or even at all. And I think those are those moments for us who want to be steadfast and who want to have the fruit of the Spirit can have an opportunity to be still, to look someone in the face and with compassion and respond to them in a compassionate way, because I think that gives both of us an opportunity, the person that's throwing up on me and myself, an opportunity to connect and to show love and kindness to one another. We may never speak again, but in that moment, there will be a moment of calm. I think that both of us can learn something in, and only that moment will tell us what that is.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, we're all human and we're all, like that. I think it's easy to paint people as bad guys or have experiences in that way. But for me, like I want to figure out how can, like for me, I feel like right now, what I feel like as a trans person, there there's a lot coming at me, and that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't make me like question who I am. It
Mhm.
causes me to question how I am in the world, but also it leads me to, I think oftentimes we want to label it hate, and there might be some people who have hate in their heart for my community, but I think I don't think I don't think most people hate us. Even people who
Yeah.
have a problem with us, I don't think they hate us. I just don't think they understand us. I think they're misunderstood. They misunderstand us, and like we've talked about before, the goal isn't really to understand. Like, yes, we can have conversations, we can come to know one another, and so we can have a better understanding of people, and that might help us be better in relation. But at the end of the day, we really just need to find a way to have compassion for everyone. Um, And it's hard when somebody's beliefs, if you will, so much infringes upon you. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing I have a hard time really
I'm trying to track with you because I'm feeling like I'm
yeah.
agreeing with you, but what did you mean by infringe? I just need a little bit of a clarification if you don't mind.
Well, I mean right now people have the power, or people are potentially creating power and structures to get in the way of my ability to to have the experience that I deserve and want to have. Like they're getting in the way of my medications and access to just be safe in public, or things like that. And so I think so it's hard to it's just hard to respond to that in a way that isn't out of defense or
Yeah, I get that.
survival, or even with compassion, if you will, because they're not necessarily coming at you with the compassion. And again, I think it's a very small group of people, but they're a group of people who have power at this moment that can really cause a lot of harm.
Yeah, and especially unchecked.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting though, because like I don't know, I don't know what the result is, but I know that I don't want to have an impact on anyone that leaves them feeling hurt or harmed by something that I'm doing, or um and so it's I think that's something that I have to really consider, that even if I'm righteous in my beliefs and I think I'm doing the right thing, and like whatever, if I'm kind of having that response with people, that fruit, if you will, I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like there's something there for me, because I believe that we're all here.
Mm-hmm.
We're all here for a reason. We're all connected as one. Like there's not just like fake people, you know what I mean? Like we're all here
Right.
in this together. And so I think the goal is trying to figure out how we can be in better relationship with one another in a way that, is just better for more people, if not all of us one day.
Yeah, I love the way you think, and I can join with you in the bulk of that. But one thing I've learned, and it's just because I've got gray hair and you don't,
Mm,
is over time and in pursuit, because you and I are both very motivated, driven people who like to get stuff done. We're not
mhm,
those kind of people who don't do. And so what I had to learn, that all those things, I went through all those processes that you're going through, but I realized that if I could narrow my scope and follow my purpose, because I remember I follow the teachings of Jesus. The Bible says in Psalm 73 that he has me by the right hand and he's guiding me down that path that he's determined for me.
mhm,
So if I just focus there and pursue that purpose or that plan that I think, because he'll correct, he's for me with the fruits of the spirit, then some of those other things like you're just talking about are automatic,
mhm.
because people feel it, people gain from it, people desire to be around it. So some of those things that we think we're fixing, I realized I was not fixing. I was making a bigger
Right.
mess because I was tripping over myself, and
Mhm,
then I was allowing to be myself to be influenced by what other people's standards of what I should live and how I should be influenced me, and it was messing me up.
mm,
So as I've gotten older, I've refocused. I'm like, okay, I do believe these things. These are the core values of my life. This is what I'm pursuing. And I got to tell you, in this season of my life, I'm experiencing more of this fruit that I've been
mm.
pursuing. I don't get it right every time, but I'm
Yeah.
experiencing it now. And some of these things, like I said, are more for the people around us or more expressions for me to outflow. But those ones that are inside, like self control, come on, that's really hard.
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at self-control on every level, I love that it's an end cap. It's like, oh,
Right.
I gotta figure this out. But that was hard for me to have self-control because I was being influenced by everybody, and I was going over here and I was going over here, and then I was losing control of my day. I was losing control of my stuff, and then things that were important passed by, and it's like, stop! I have to stop. I have to have some self-control over the things that I can control. You
Mm,
know what I mean? So that's just an example. So I just think that we need to follow God, or follow, let Him take my right hand, follow after Him towards my purpose, and pray and trust that all these other things are going to work themselves out. That's been my experience as I've shifted into this new season and the last couple seasons actually, and I've been able to now enjoy some of these deeper fruits like peace and self-control and some of those things. So just my
Mm-hmm.
2 cents.
Yeah, and what was that process? Because I would say, like, even if I just talk about like our relationship,
Mhm.
we have been able to have different fruits, if you will, of our relation. And what what have you had to go through, I guess, to what had to change for you? What
Oh,
what's
well,
different, I guess, you know?
I had to first realize what I was doing that was giving you a negative about me, that I didn't love
Perception, yeah.
you or had no care about you. That for me was hard. I'm like, oh, how could that even happen? But I had
Yeah.
to look at myself. Well, how have I been responding? How have I been available? How have I nurtured this relationship? Especially we're family, and to me, a family is should be a close relationship. I know it's not for everybody, and I'm still working on some of those areas of my family that have kind of slipped away. But I desire to have that closeness again. So that was the first thing, and that was me because I get to control how I respond to my family members, the people that God has put around my life, my friends, my neighbors, whatever. So that's just about me. I can't expect everyone else to change so that
Right.
I can like them or interact with them or whatever. So that was the first thing, was figuring out how I was putting off a vibe that was not approachable. And that was hard for me to realize that and to understand and to work through some of those things. The second thing was not trying to have an opinion about everything that you were doing,
Mm,
because we think that our way is the best way.
right.
And because we like it and it feels good to us, that it has to be that way for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to realize, you know what? Um, we are different people. We have a different purpose. We have a different path that God is leading us on. And who am I to have a negative thought, especially of God's creation?
Mm-hmm.
So I worked really hard to renew my view. Okay, what bothers me so much? Well, the things that bothered me at the moment were ridiculous. It's like,
Mm,
why does that even bother me? It's really none of my
right.
business. So I had to change some of that thinking around and say, okay, you know what? That's really not a big deal. Why was it such a big deal? So that I had to figure that out for myself
Mm-hmm.
and move toward that. Well, then I had to ask myself, so in all this change, I did, is my love real or is it superficial?
Mm,
Because I think we label things as love that aren't necessarily love.
yeah.
They're superficial things that we think are love because the world around us has said it's love. And so we get caught up in that. But that's not what love looks like a lot of times.
Mm,
And so I had to reevaluate, what does love look like? And even more than that, what is my expression of love to somebody else? What do I want that to look like? And
mm,
what does the word of God say it should look like? Because that also encompasses some of these fruits of the spirit.
yeah.
And so I prayed, my prayer was, Lord, help me to love people in a way that I want to be loved and a way that they feel the love that I have
Yeah.
for them, no matter how wrong I get it on the outside or
Mm,
how wrong
yeah.
or stupid I might say something. And so I had to pray for that. So our changing of ourself gives an automatic transition and a shift to the things around us.
Yeah.
And so those steps are just some, I'm still working on a lot of these steps, but those are the things that I've been able to. And then walking out, walking out the things that I have. I still go out and I have opinions about stuff I shouldn't have opinions about.
Mm-hmm.
I still go out and I have superficial love for people just because it's the thing that we do when we get together.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on those things. But I'm grateful that I understand now what's happening. And so when I see it in myself, I can work on changing it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the thing that really stands out to me and what the desire of my heart and my spirit is that people actually feel that love. You know what I mean? Like, and
Mhm.
you mentioned that idea of like, well, I love them, I'm doing these things, but I want them to actually be able to feel
Experience it.
that or
Yeah.
receive that. And some of that does take a little bit of like adaptation, because not everybody feels love in the same way,
You're
or
right.
receives love in the same way, or they might need, like there's a different entry point, or there might be different words that you say, or different ways that you show up. And, they talk about the love language and all that sort of
I
stuff,
was
but
thinking
even
the same thing when you said that.
yeah,
So
so
we have
there's
love languages for that. So yeah,
yeah,
you're
so
so right.
uh-huh. And I think when we're dealing with like like and oftentimes sometimes we're dealing with people who are traumatized or were harmed or there was mistrust, whether it's specifically with you or with like the groups that you're a part of, right? Or the association, if you will. And
Yeah.
so and one of the things that just to get biblical again, it says that we will be known by our love, and right? Isn't that like a biblical kind of thing? Maybe.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Is it?
It's also a song. They'll know we are Christians by our love.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking when you said that. But yeah, they will know us, yes, because of the love that we have for one another
Right.
and the
Well,
role in them.
that's like I think that's I think that's like the biggest challenge for me at this point in my life is getting to that place again where I can be known by love and not just by some people or like the people like me, because there are a lot
Mhm.
of people who love me, right? And they know it and I feel it and whatever. But there are people really close in my life that I care dearly for that I don't know if that love is felt or where we're at. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I feel like for me those are the areas that I really want to find a way to be known um, by my love for them,
Okay. Okay.
if that
So
makes sense.
what do you think that might look like? Is it an outward
Girl, I don't
expression?
know.
Is it a
I thought
inward?
yeah, I thought you were going to teach me that today. That's what
Ah,
No, I mean,
well, I think I've shared with you a little bit.
totally, yeah.
I have decided in my life, especially where my family's concerned. So, and if any of my family's listening, don't be offended. But you don't get to tell me I can't love you.
Right.
So when I love somebody, I want to reach out to them. I want to call them. I want to spend time with them. I want to encourage them. And so I am just taking that step to do that. And sometimes they receive it and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And I have to be okay with that. But I'm determined because me being a woman of faith, I feel like that by me not having a relationship with my family, that I've had something stolen from me.
Hmm.
And I've allowed it to a point because I just didn't fight for it. And I'm done doing that. I am fighting for those relationships with my family, and I am fighting for those relationships with those people that I know that God has put around me for a purpose. And so I've just decided, and so until
Hmm.
God tells me nope, I'm going to
Yeah.
keep doing that. So that's me. That's
Yeah.
my
And I think for me, I think I get in the way. Like there's still like
easy
parts
to
of
do.
me, there are still parts of me that feel like they need to be validated or seen, or that maybe I just for whatever reason I can't seem to be willing to let go of some of those things. And and for me, I know that's like the work for me to do because it really shouldn't matter all that much in the end. And I know and I think I've learned that a lot being in relationship with you, that um it hasn't taken us to change one another. Like
Mm-mm.
you are different and you're different with me, and I do think that makes it easier when the other person is coming at you in a similar way or trying. And I think sometimes that's what feels hard. And also the thing, I don't know, I think there's still a part of me. Um, I think a lot of the people that I want in my life more, I just don't think they know how to show up for me. And I think I still have I have an expectation
Yeah.
of how they show up and what they need to say and what they need to do in order for me to be like, okay, cute, you know, and
And that's a lot
and
of
I
pressure to put on someone.
it totally is, and I can't, and I'm working on being able to let that go because that's not the desire of my heart. That is not what I want to have happen, but it's something that I've really been challenged by.
Yeah.
And in some ways it, we get mixed messages about it too. Sometimes we need to just, it's like, when do you, I don't know. It's like, when do you let, like, when do you, yeah. So, I think there's just an element of
So,
surrender
yeah.
to love in all its forms that I'm still, that's where I'm at. And it's sad.
That,
It's sad to me that I'm in my way of being in relationship with some people in my life because I can't seem to like
it's
be
hard.
vulnerable enough, I
Yeah.
guess.
That's exactly the word I was going to say. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to take a position that you think that is less than what you want it to be. So I had to really change my mindset, and
Mm-hmm.
changing my mindset from um, people having to receive me a certain way or whatever, because I've learned I can just get in there and God will tell me, okay, girlfriend, you need to do some of this and you need to do some of this. If you want to build this relationship, they're communicating with you now, but if you want to build this relationship, it's going to take some more change in your side.
Yeah.
Because what I found is change on my side usually prompts change on the other side. But I really had to tell my, and I know I already said it. I had to really take on that. Nope, I am not going to have these relationships stolen from me. These particular relationships were given to me on the day I was born, and I am not letting them be taken from me.
Mm.
And that just, I'm tenacious. I'm
Yeah.
headstrong. I'm motivated. And so once I set that goal that those things were not going to be taken away from me, then I started working on myself. Okay, how do I get the courage to make the first phone call? And how do I get the courage to keep making the phone call when they don't call me ever?
Right.
You know what I mean? And there are times I still am like, gosh, I feel like I'm the only one in this relationship because I'm doing all the work. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I am not going to let that relationship be stolen from me. So I have just enough headstrong in me and that first goal to keep going. And then I'm finding the fruit of that has been pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to have conversations. I went for years not knowing what some of my family members' favorite color was, or their favorite food is, or what made them smile. And so it's like I am not settling for that any longer. And
Was
so we just have to fight for that. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
don't mean to keep talking.
Oh, no, it's great. I'm just curious, is there a time when you, I guess, throw your hands up, or you're like,
Not for me.
so is the thought just to find a new way,
Yep.
or
To I believe that there's restoration. And you know what? Until they say to me, "Oh, you're disgusting. Leave me alone. I don't ever want to see you again."
mm,
That might be something too, but I don't know that I could even then, because I know that there was purpose in the relationship that was given to me when I was put on this earth. And
mm,
even if it's just happened to overcome that statement, then I'm going to keep doing it.
yeah.
You know,
So
and,
if
and
they
I,
did say that to you, what would that look like?
what would it look like?
Or like,
Well,
how would you respond to that, I guess?
I think I would say thank you,
Mm,
because the first thing would be, okay, now I don't have to wonder what you're thinking. I
yeah.
know. I know what I have to deal with. I know what I have to pray about. I know when I come at you what that looks like, even if I
Mm,
come at you the way I think is right. So I would cause me maybe a moment of pause to reevaluate my position, but I think I would still show up, and maybe the show up would be not as aggressive as it was before, but I think I would still show up. And just because when we show up, and you and I have had this experience, when we show up for one another, it changes our heart. If we've even gotten annoyed at one another or offended at one another, if we continue to show up for one another, we were eventually able to talk that through.
yeah.
We're eventually able to experience something different and grow individually and together. So I think there's always that potential. And so because it's my family, my God given family at the time of my birth, I just won't. So all of you out there saying, "Oh, Tina's calling me again," just know I'm going to keep on,
Yeah.
even if you don't
Mm,
call me back.
yeah.
So
Has an act of love been at all to not show up?
uh, an act of love on for
Like, is there a time to not show up, I guess, for
Mhm.
people that is loving?
Yeah. I'm going through one right now. I have a dear friend that I love very, very much. Um, she's an older person and she spends a lot of time by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I love being there with her and for her and helping her. And I realized that it was keeping her family from doing those things for her
Mm,
and was causing a challenge. Although they didn't seem to want to do those things for her, which is why I started doing those things for her. And I've had to step back. And it upsets her very much. She's always asking me if I'm mad at her or if there's something wrong, and it breaks my heart. But I'm now seeing that the people around her that should be her family are starting to engage at a small, small level, which still breaks my heart.
mm,
So I still try to fill in where I can and where I feel is appropriate so that I can leave space for that family to love this beautiful woman
mm-hmm,
because I love this amazing woman and it blows me away that they can't see her for the amazing person that she is.
mm-hmm.
So
And
to me, that's an act of love.
mm-hmm. And how did you come to that realization or conclusion, or how did you come to be aware of that, I guess?
She asked me to give her a ride to the doctor's office. And I did. I gave her a ride to the doctor's office. But when we got there, she asked me to go into the visit with her. And I was like, oh, I didn't feel that that was something that I should do since I'm not a family member, but that's private.
Mm-hmm.
And she insisted. So I went in, and the doctor thought I was her family member
Mm.
and started asking me all these questions that I could not answer.
Uh-huh.
And questions that she also couldn't answer. She's an older woman and doesn't remember everything. So it was obvious she needed an advocate there with her.
Mm.
And as much as she wanted me to be that person, I wasn't qualified.
You weren't the person, yeah.
And I needed to make a decision. Either I'm going to take that on, but to take that on is taking on a family because we know how things happen.
Yeah.
And so when I spoke to my husband and I prayed about it, and I had to tell my friend that I could not be that advocate, especially for that type of purpose. And that
Mm-hmm.
as much as I loved her, there was going to have to be some things that I could not do for her that she would have to have her family do for her. And she didn't want to ask them. I don't want to ask them. They don't ever talk to me. They're not around. They don't call me. They don't check on me. I go, I understand, but you need to really. I said, I'll help you. I'll sit with you and I'll make those calls with you. I says, but you really need to. So yeah,
Mm.
that's when I realized that nope, because yeah, I just can't. I don't even
Yeah.
know how to articulate it. It's not
Yeah.
because I don't want to. It's because I can't. I feel like I'm in the way from a restoration process for this family. Because sometimes restoration takes place out of necessity,
Yeah.
and then the rest of it comes along. I have to do this for this person. I have to do this. I need this. I need this. But eventually, you're like, oh, I kind of enjoyed talking to this person. Oh, we looked at their pictures. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
think it's
Yeah.
the starting point. So anyway,
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that too is I think sometimes what can be overwhelming is like, what do I have the capacity for? Like we only have the energy for so much. So it's like if I'm putting so much energy, say in this relationship or this situation, what is it taking from potentially from other relations? So you know what I mean? Whether like, so I think
mhm.
that's something because there's only so much we can do because probably to some degree, now that you're not showing up for her in that way, sorry to use this example,
Yeah,
maybe that's freeing you up to show up for other relationships
yeah,
that that
that's
can
always
bear
been
fruit as well.
right, and that was off balance, and so therefore it couldn't be as fruitful as I believe the Holy Spirit wanted it.
Yeah.
I still check on her. I see her every week, a couple times a week. I pick her up and take her with me just about everywhere, so she's not in her home by herself. But
Yeah.
it's just different.
Yeah. I think I really have appreciated this conversation, and um, I I am at a point. I've been at a point in my life in a lot of ways where I think if to put it in the framework of this conversation is that I think I had become very dissatisfied with my fruit. and it's not necessarily that it was bad fruit, but it wasn't nourishing me in the ways that I've wanted. And I think I'm at another place in my life right now where I'm really trying to discern, where am I going to put my energy? Where am I going to put myself? Where am I going to plant my tree? Where am I going to plant myself? And what relationships am I going to work with that are going to ultimately help me get the results? And one of the things that I'm really trying to figure out, and a desire that's come onto my heart recently, and maybe something you can help me with, but I really want to show up for my community more. I feel like I've been so needy, which is okay and fine. But I really want to find a way to be able to balance the getting my needs met, getting my nourishment as well, but also still being able to show up for other people, because I feel like that's the part I've been not present for, how I can show up for other people in my life that I care about. And that's something I'm just, working on. So I guess I'm just putting that out in the world, that is the desire of my heart, is to be able to get beyond my own anxieties, my own fear of bothering somebody, or I don't know, whatever, to just kind of be like, hey, how are you doing? Because that comes to my mind a lot, but I often don't check in on people.
That's important. I found that if I'm reaching out to someone else, some of those other things that I have inside, find peace.
Yeah.
So I try to look outside myself as much as I can. So I'll be praying with you about that. These are not easy steps, and some of these steps are lifelong.
Yeah.
Because as we grow and as we learn and as we bear fruit, we want that fruit to continue to grow and be luscious.
And different fruits have their season, right? So,
right. Well, and also don't forget, to have good fruit, you have to be pruned.
Yeah.
And that's never fun.
Ooh, that's true, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
so there's a whole process there. So.
Yeah, we are at that 45-minute mark, and I got to get to work.
All right.
But it's such a great conversation. Thanks, folks who were listening today. I feel like there was a lot of listening and not much questions today, which is great. If you're coming across this later, whether watching us or listening to us, do leave us comments, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next week, same time, same place. Do you want to say goodbye, Tina?
Yep. See you guys. Have a great week. And don't forget, Splintered Grace.
All right. Bye-bye. Splintered Grace podcast is brought to you by a queer chaplain. Follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at A Queer Chaplain. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Feel free to tip us at Venmo, Bonnie Violet, and support monthly on Patreon. The song is original by Stephen Sandknopp, The Chasm Between Us. Rest in peace, Stephen.
Hey, how's it going? Bonnie Violet here. I'm a trans femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, and digital chaplain. And in case you didn't know, I could really use your support. Engage, rate, subscribe, follow, comment, share this episode, book me to keynote, panel, guest on your show, or officiate your wedding or memorial, in or out of drag, collaborate, join the team, be a guest, make a pitch, sponsor an episode, join my Patreon, send me a tip on Venmo or PayPal. Just do something. Thank you so much for your continued support. Check out the links in the description.